So welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to fit some herringbone type wood flooring. Now this is real oak, no veneer in here, very expensive to buy, and it comes in boxes like this. And basically when you're fitting herringbone you have to be able to cut it. Now you can probably see down in the corner here I've started laying sections out. What we need to do is get these cut so that they're level and fit flush up against this skirting board. So basically what I'm going to show you is how to do it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Now before we go any further, I'm going to mention this because I've not seen this in any other videos so far. But when you do buy these boxes, they are marked on the back with letters. I'll find you the other one. And we've got the letter R on that one and the letter L on that one. So that simply means left and right. So when you're putting them together, you are basically doing that, your left one and your right one. And that's because the tongue then is on the outside there, which will give you a continuous joint with the tongue there. If you put two right ones together, although you can fit them together, that's a left one. We'll get two right ones. So we've got two right ones here. Just doing this because it's simply easier. This is what happens. You can see there you have a tongue and you have a groove. That's what will happen. So that's why they're named left and right. So it's a good idea to get them all set up like this, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Then we can mark them, then we can sort out where they're going. So, let's get started, let's get this in position, and hopefully we'll have a floor down or some floor down today. You see now it's an extremely fiddly job, so you know, have some tools. I have a chop saw. You might need a circular saw. Now the other thing is, if you have any doors on your property, you need to remove them because the chances are your flooring won't fit underneath the door, so remove all the doors as well. So as you can see by that, I have set some flooring out and I've put my ruler on there so you can see what line I'm drawing. So that is more or less parallel with the skirting board, but I'm using this point here as a reference and the end of this board here as a reference, and then drawing a line with my pencil across. Now you could set the boards up all the way down the wall if you wished. Following the same line and doing the same thing, so that you've got the equal line going across. But yeah, it's probably the only way you can do it. I mean, if you was to take it from that reference point there, you can see the ruler's out. So once you get the first one set up, you should be fine to run it across. So you can see all this wastage here, but unfortunately you need to do that because obviously this needs to sit up against the wall. You could cut these pieces out individually, but that's very time consuming, so this is probably the easiest and the best way to do it. So once you've done that, just transfer it to your saw. Either use a chop saw or just use a circular saw. Mine here, you could just run your circular saw along there, making sure it's propped underneath. But we're going to transfer these to a chop saw now and get these cut out. It's also a good idea to try and remember where they are, so obviously it should work out correctly. So as you can see now, they fit up against the skirting board. So you've got the other side to trim down as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to bring it across a bit, glue it, I think, get so far across, and then we'll do the trimming. So I might use a circular saw to do that. But like I said, first of all I want to get it all glued up as well, because it all needs gluing. An easy way of doing that is just to get some glue, obviously, and use this stuff. This is Gorilla Glue, very good stuff. Not used it before. What I'm doing here is working with the house a bit, because this skating board is not true. So what I do is I pull it apart, and we start with the angles first, and just lob a bit of glue on the tongue. Now, what I forgot to mention earlier is I placed a mark and numbered them, so I knew where they were going. Just a little tip there, otherwise you end up with a jigsaw piece. And then you're just wondering where all the pieces go. It's not easy once you've done that. So it is a good idea to get some glue in these bits, because just hold them together. Whilst I hold them together, it falls apart quite easily as well. If you get some glue in, it just gives it a bit of strength. So put that up against the wall, and then do the second one. So as you can see, we have started laying the floor. Now this zigzaggy thing now is me laying the floor, obviously. So what I'm doing, you saw me mark the ones at that end. I've cut them, and now I've just started bringing them across like this. So what we'll do is continue that cut. We're going to use a circular saw for doing that. We've got to get round this door as well. So that's why I'm creating a plank. I'm also seeing how far it goes up to the skirting board at this end. And by my reckoning, it should just work out roughly central with the floor. So we'll need to leave that for now at that end, because what we need to be doing is cutting the ends off those ones, but this will need to dry and set before we do that, so we can continue getting the floor across. So we should be able to slide it in position once it's all dried and set. The skirting board down this wall where the window is running out, so the angle of the corner there isn't 90 degrees, it is running out, so I'm going to have to do some jiggery pokery with it, as I call it, to make it fit properly. It's what you have to do, is you've no way around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this end off, and hopefully bring it down a bit further. The customer did bring all these boxes, he's plonked them all in the middle of the room, so I need to tidy up a bit now so I can continue running it across. Hopefully I'll get about halfway across the floor. I don't really want to go too far with it, because it kind of needs trimming and sorting out. So like I said, I'll continue with this bit now. I'm going to leave the end bit here for now, because I need to trim the other end. hopefully we'll just be able to knock them straight in once it's down. We've also got to contend with a radiator as well, which is a big heavy reproduction type radiator. I don't know whether to remove it or not, or just lift it up. It should just lift up. I might remove it because it might just be a little bit easier to do it that way, but we'll see when we get there. Anyway, right. So, we are at a stage now where we could probably cut the level across. Now, I've missed a couple of pieces out there, but what I need to do is try and get it around the door as well at the same time, so I'm kind of hopeful it will bring this in. So, yeah, here we go. There you go. Well, we got it. I want it to, seems to be a lot of right hand ones. So, one of the things I've done is taken the bottom off the architrave there and the door leg. This is simply so I can slide the board under, and this is how we do this. Multi-tool, did a review on this, go check out my videos. Just hold the piece of wood up against and slide. So I didn't realise that I'd stopped recording then. So what we've done here is got it lined up with the door there. Now that'll need trimming a little bit more. Cut the bottoms off, of course. And as you can see, I've started lining it up now. If I come through, just having a few problems there with camera. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is trim this edge up here with the circular saw so that we can get that to come round, because if you look over the other side, we do need to trim this up down here. The gap is growing, so we need to try and compensate for that at that end. So there's a bit more cutting required, and then we can get this in properly. I was just going to cut pieces, but as you can see, as it's running out, it's going to take more out. I don't want too many in little pieces, because it uses a lot of the timber up that you've got, and your resources on this aren't really rating. So I reckon it's going to need at least another 2 inch off there to bring it round. I need to bring that corner in to level it up a bit. So yeah, we'll get that done. I'll just cut that bit off there. Should bring it round a bit at this end then. Should be super cool then. So you might not have caught this earlier on the video, but I slid some MDF underneath the floor. Top tip there for you, and that's so I can slide the floor about while I cut it. You see it moves a lot easier, doesn't it? Piece there. I'll glue that back on in a minute. So that's the edge cut up. So now what we do is we slide the floor back up and see what happens. through then. It does look like the wall is completely out, which is what we thought. As you can see, it goes underneath the floor, so I'm going to cut that out a little bit there and get that cut. So what we'll do is level up those things and get those cut off. Then I should have a nice square floor then, hopefully. So there we go. It's nicely tucked under the door at that side, under the frames. There is some trim to go around the edges. This isn't like laminate flooring. I would say it's a lot more difficult to do, but like I said, once you put the MDF underneath, it helps slide it about a bit if you need to move it. We'll move them tomorrow and crack on with the rest of it. Now we've got it all set up. So we're getting nearer to the other side of the wall now. We've got most of the floor down, as you can see. It's got all the cutting to do at this end. Now you may remember when we cut off the other side there, down here, we cut loads of bits off, and what we're doing now is using those bits up at this end here, so no wastage. And you may remember these are the triangle sections that we cut off. So as you can see, that now fits there. So it doesn't need any trimming, it just fits straight in there. And I brought the floor around the half and everything here, so I'm going to show you how I did that at the other side when we get to it. But simply putting it, we don't glue all these together until we've got the fits right, so we need to start disassembling it now, gluing it. If they do come apart, you just need to give them a bit of help. That. Be careful not to damage the wood. Like that. They are quite awkward to get in these, to be honest with you. They're not easy. So you just start gluing them up. Possibly capture me with that voice business. And we use this already, so I was thinking of being able to time that. I'm doing this with software, you know, he's using it, I'm using it, so I'll push it for. But if you can sometimes, so kind of just like actually get it up. But like I say, using hammer, use what we also do, you can take hard, or find mal or hammer. But this hardwood, so it's like you can take it, use it to use use a Lloyd, so it's trying to follow it, and it's just one place now, and that's your making it perfect. So this will say what I can't quit messing around. And there we go. now we need to do is get this corner sorted out. Yeah, let me move the camera. So for doing this corner, what you need to do is take a measurement from the edge into the other corner. So what we've got there is, we've got 15.5 inches. So we can just transfer this pretty much onto any piece now, because the left and the right doesn't really matter now. So if we measure 15.5, so this one's already got an angle on it, as you can see there, which is roughly where we need to cut. If you look at the line, it's just slightly off, doesn't matter. So we can take the 15.5. What we'll do is make it a bit shorter, maybe come in a little bit at 15.25, just to give me a little bit of room, what I call jiggle room. So we're just cutting these at 45 degrees. And all you need to do is grab yourself another piece of board, and you should be able to just work out how many you need as well. Once you mark the first one, you just simply, that way you're not using any wastage. So what I'll do now is I'll get this cut and get the small piece cut. We'll go find a small piece now to fit in there, and then I'll bring it back and fit it. So there's the triangle ready to go in. I think it should fit. It's going to be tight, I think. Maybe just needs a little bit more off, I don't know. Yeah, might need a bit more off. The good thing is once you've cut it, I don't think that might not be needed actually. It should just be a case of trimming it. Yeah, that corner piece might not be needed yet. So as you can see, I've done the flooring, the half here, and brought it round all the way around into the corner. Like I say, it's a good opportunity to use your offcuts up, especially from the other end of the floor that you probably have. They came in quite handy for doing that section, saved me a lot of cutting there. And when you do get to this stage, you've probably got a lot of offcuts, so it doesn't matter if you're using a left or right board. This is a right board, so it goes on the right hand side like that. But because you're just cutting the angles off the end, it doesn't matter about the grooves or the tongues. You just need the tongue that you need for slotting it in. So it's a good opportunity to use your offcuts up in the corners, so there's no wastage. This flooring is very expensive to buy, and you don't want to be running out and buying another box and paying however much they are for the box just for the sake of doing a small corner like that. Good opportunity to use them up, like I said. Now if you do need to use a left and a right, you can alter them by cutting some of the grooves off or squaring them up sometimes if you just want to use them up in an area where you're not going to see them and you're not going to be having much foot traffic. But the whole point of tongue and groove is to keep it together and keep it all solid, which is why it's referred to as a solid wood floor. So yeah, there you go. Right, what we're going to do is I'm going to carry on along there across the front of the half. Won't video that until I get to the corner, and then I'll show you how I set the corner up for coming around the corners. So you see it's one continuous piece there. It's quite easy to do. So yeah, we'll get to that bit in a minute. So now we're at the stage where we're at the corner of the half here, and we need to bring the corner round. So what we're going to do is find my tape here again. You can see this, I've managed to bring the floor across. All we're doing is the same principle, is just measuring again. So what we're doing is taking the measurement from the corner of that, and we could probably do that 15.5, give me some wiggle room, as I call it. Transfer the measurement to your board, making sure you get it on the tongue there, and with your speed square, set square, whatever you're using, transfer your line across. Now, because this one's already cut at an angle, we know that it's going to sit up against there. So we know the angle that we need to get or create to bring it around. So we take a mark off the corner of the half there. Just stop there for a minute. As you can see, I've lined it up. What I've done is I've put the edge of that, this edge, not the tongue. The tongue's overlapping this board. I've put the edge against that, so it just about catches. Now you notice it's a bit longer, but it is in line with this board here. So I know that that's where this board's going to end up, and what I'm doing is I'm creating a line across there. So you could use your speed square if you have one, or hold the pencil against it and drag it down so you have the idea there. Then all you need to do is transfer the point, the reference point, at the opposite angle. So that's what you create. You create like an L shape on the wood. So what we'll do is we will cut this out now on the chop saw, and then we should have that in fit. We might need to trim it. I have done this a little bit proud, but hopefully it will just slot into place without any issues. So, cut what I can out with the chop saw. Also very handy. I did do a review on that multi-tool a while ago. Now this is quite tight, so I do believe I'll put this one in, didn't I? So this board here that I've just glued, I'm just popping it back out, and I'm just going to put this one in like that, and then slide this board back in, because it's a little bit tight, but it'll save me cutting it again. That's how you do that. It's a bit like one of those games, you know, those puzzles that you slide things about on. The observant on the probably noticed I didn't glue that, because I was trying to get it fitted. I'm just going to prise it out a little bit. If you do forget to do it, just run your glue in like that. Although it probably doesn't matter too much if you don't glue them all. Just let the glue run down for a minute. Help it along with a bit of cardboard. Like that. And if you look at that joint now, it's absolutely perfect. So all you need to do is run rest of the floor around till you get to here and start cutting your corners in again. Don't forget to wipe the glue off. You will have a little bit of a haze on the top of the floor, but once it's mopped and scrubbed a bit, it should come off straight away. So there you go. So, obviously I've got the floor across there. I'm going to show you what I'm doing here now for this corner. So, the board is a continuous board through, so we need to get the square out or the right angle out. So, basically same principle with that one. We're just going to take the mark off the corner of the skating board. I've lined up the board with the actual boards here so that it's more or less square. So once you've done that, you need to transfer your mark there, leave a line on it, good nice strong line on it. And we need to take a measurement from the edge of the board to the corner, which is roughly 2 inches, but it's just under 2 inches, so I'm going to put a 45 millimetres. We'll do it at millimetres, so we take a mark from the edge, making sure that you put the tape measure on the edge that it butts up to the other wood. Once you've got your mark on there, these are just straightforward 45 degrees, so the speed square is already set at 45 degrees, so whatever you're using, protractor or set square, then that's what you do. So we have a nice V shape there on that piece of wood, so all we need to do is get this cut out now. One of those cases where sometimes you need to dismantle the floor a little bit to get it in. That's what we'll do. Fortunately the glue isn't set yet. Dismantle the floor a little bit, get your board in, make sure it's in the right place. You can just trim it where you need to. So that just needs a little bit more off that edge there. Better. It's nice and neat as well, nice and neat cut that. So what you would do now is slide that one in, to bash it in. What we need to do now is get that one in as well, because I think that will need doing as well before we go any further. It's going to be an awkward one to get in that. So we'll do that one now. Yeah, just need a right-handed board. Right. That's not going to be wrong with the right-handed board. So, what we need there, now this is another method of using, just to wind it up like that. Making sure you've got the edge that you want to cut off. And on you will notice that the grain of the wood's going in the same direction. Now, if we were going to be pedantic, then we would probably get a piece that's matching, but the thing is, you probably won't even notice it there. It's going to be covered up by being only a small amount of that showing, but we're going to put it in anyway. And also the tongue is not the right way as well. So, a bit of glue on. Now the glue does help lubricate this when you slide in little bits back in. So it's a good idea to get some on the end bit there. Off of this back in. And hopefully everything will fit. Now once they're in position, don't worry too much if they move. It's not an issue. There's some debris off that. Like that. So basically it is really like one of those puzzles that you get. And there we go. That's all slid in. And there we go. Just untangle my hammer because there's loads of wires that I can't pull here, which to do with the central heating and energy stuff. So wiping the excess glue off. You sure I've got the sawdust in there. And there you go. That's how you do one of those. I'll just bring my camera in closer so you get a better view of it. And as you can see, it's a really good, nice, neat corner that. So what we'll do now is carry on with the rest of the floor, getting this in, and we'll be doing it shortly, probably about another hour. There you go guys, the floor is done, more or less. We still have the trim to run around the whole house. So this is the floor, looks good. Tedious job, it's not for the faint-hearted. If you are going to tackle something like this, please take your time and get your cuts right, get your measuring right, and make sure you have the right tools, i.e. mitre saws. You can pick them up relatively cheap. Now, make sure, I would probably recommend one that can slide, because when you cut into 45 degrees, it just makes it a little bit easier. I was using the JCB one that I reviewed quite a while ago, so make sure you look at my tool review videos if you want to see a review on the JCB one. I don't think they do them anymore. But then the other one that I was using was the Einhell 18 volt, which is my most recent purchase, which I bought. Brought it here, thought we'll use it here. I've been buying a lot of Einhell products recently because they're reasonably priced and you can get the batteries quite cheaply for them. They really are good tools as well, and I would recommend them. So we've used that as well. Invest in speed squares, set squares, pencils, tape measures, etc, etc. Anything that can measure and help you do this job, then please by all means just go out and get them, because they're worth having for doing something like this. You will not regret it one bit, because just getting these angles right and getting everything right is important to make it look good. Now, that being said, there have been some obstacles, i.e. the radiator. We didn't film that because we need to change some pipe work because we can lift it up, so we could get it underneath the floor. There is going to be a radiator cover around that anyway, so it was kind of like me just being a perfectionist and wanting to make it look right under the floor. So that's been one obstacle. The other obviously is around the door there, which I showed you, and again around the fire hearth and me doing these corners. They are quite tricky, and you do need to do some good marking and measuring for them. And again, to start with, make sure you square the floor up, like I said, build the floor up a little bit, get that section, the corner that where you are, set up, cut, and then start building your floor across, and then run your circular saw along the line and start trimming it so that it fits in the corner. This will help you keep the floor relatively square. But like I said, this is an old Victorian house. None of the skirting boards are level, and what I mean by that is they are slightly lowered in places. If you run your eye right down, you can see them bowing out in places, bowing in, bulging. So they go kind of go in and out. It's not square is the room, is what I'm trying to say. But that being said, because of the way I've done it and the way I've worked with the house, I've been able to make it look square when you look at the floor. The herringbone is kind of central. This chimney breast and that isn't quite central. This is slightly wider than that side. So it's thrown some of the perspective of it off, but when you do look down this line here, it does more or less look central to the fire. So optical illusion, but I know it's not in the middle. So yeah, you've got to try and balance it out when you're working in these old houses just to make it look right. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, check out the reviews of some of the other products that we've done and reviewed. And yeah, thank you for subscribing to everyone. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. We do appreciate everybody who does subscribe to the channel. It helps us purchase some of these tools that we use on the job so we can review them and tell you about them. It helps us bring some of the equipment to the job so we can film what we're doing as well, so we can give you an idea of how to do something. I'm not an actor, I don't get paid for this. The only payment I get through is the YouTube advertising thing, so I get a little bit of money through that. It does help us, like I said, to buy equipment so we can film these type of jobs that we're doing. This is a real job, this is real customer in the job, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in another video soon.